It should be on the page, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was trying to figure out where you going live from, because there it goes, yeah.
You see it?
Mm-hmm.
My screen's locked up.
That's what I was trying to figure out where you going live from.
Oh, oh yeah, because remember everybody can hear you. So anyways, we're here at the Village Lansing with Brian T. Jackson, 4th Ward Council Member, also Public Defender, and Marissa?
Yep.
Correct. We're doing a Know Your Rights Day. So we have some studio audience in the room. But what I found throughout the process of just talking to some of these young people and adults in life is that a lot of people don't know their rights when they get pulled over. So Brian T. Jackson and I was having conversations about what we could do to get that information out. And he said, I do these Know Your Rights seminars all the time. How about we hold one at the Village Lansing? So here we are today. So I'm going to hand it over to Brian T. and Marissa.
Thank you, Mike, for having us. It's an honor to be able to do a Know Your Rights. So this is important because every person that's a citizen in this country has certain rights that can and can't happen when you have encounters with the police. So before we get into that, I want to know from the audience, has anybody had any experiences with police encounters that they can share? Sir?
My name is Brian. I've had a few incidents where one officer claimed I didn't stop, and she got out the car. I went through the whole, license registrations, that stuff, and she begins to walk away and tells me, for your safety and mine, keep your hands on the wheel. And I'm thinking to myself, you're the one with the gun, so I'm just doing everything she says. It's like I know I stopped, but she claims I didn't. And then there's been other times where I've been pulled over for not signaling when I know I did, but it's always that second guessing game they always make you do. So I just, those have been my encounters.
Thanks for sharing that. So at least now, and we can talk about that later, but now there's usually video camera in the police cars that can hopefully capture what happened. But thanks for sharing that. Does anybody else have an experience they want to share?
I mean, I've been pulled over a couple times in my day. I think the biggest not for my own self, because I do kind of know some of my rights, but I guess today I'm gonna learn that maybe I don't. But the biggest thing is I've got a lot of stories from others who have been pulled over and didn't know. And one of the biggest ones is they don't have the right to search your car unless you give them that right. And I think one of the biggest things that they go into court and not know is that anything they find after they search your car legally it can be thrown out if you have the right judge or the right lawyer on the situation. So those are one of the big things that has happened. Outside of that, I think you're going to touch on this too, but passengers in the vehicle. That's one of the things. I've been a passenger in the vehicle. I had to tell somebody I'm good, so I'll let you touch on a lot of that.
Yes, sir. Thank you, because we're going to do some skits where we're going to talk about and be in those exact situations. So we're going to need crowd participation today. I have an experience that kind of got me interested in the law from high school when I was speeding home from Sexton, crossing basically somewhere in Lansing Township. I think it might have been Clare Street because it ended up to be 2 township police officers. Ended up stopping me for speeding and then asking, do I have anything in the car? Can I get out? And I didn't know if I had to or didn't have to, so I got out. I was being cooperative. I was borrowing my father's car. I didn't have anything to hide. I knew I was speeding. Okay, I've had speeding tickets in the past, and I will have them in the future. So I get out, but then they say, can you sit in the back of the police car? And I'm like, okay, well, this is my neighborhood. I mean, I'm kind of embarrassed, but I don't know what to do. So I get back there, I sit, and they search the car. They don't find anything. They write me a ticket, and I go my own way like 25 minutes later. The neighbors are passing by like, oh, look at Brian. I thought he was a stand-up guy. So from that point on, I was kind of like, I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know how to say or what to do. I was just like, I got a ticket. And I always wondered from there on out. And maybe we should do some introductions really quick. Brian Jackson, I'm a defense attorney now. I used to be a prosecutor in the past. Went to Howard Law School. I work with the Public Defender's Office. My day job would be representing people committed of anywhere from assault and battery up to certain felonies, and we do the best we can. And Marissa, my partner who's going to be helping today.
Yes, my name is Marissa Vinsky. I also work at a criminal defense firm called Chartier Nayam Pakudza in Okemos. All we practice is criminal defense, so we focus on a lot of areas that we're going to cover today.
Thank you. So this is, again, a Know Your Rights. This is not a presentation to teach people like how to commit a crime or how to get away with it. These are just simply everybody's constitutional rights that they have. So there's no reason to feel like you're getting over on something or like learning anything secret, even though the police might think it's a secret, and they will be surprised if you assert your rights properly. But at the same time, these are like your rights. So you shouldn't be ashamed or shy. And after today, hopefully you'll have a few tips and tools that will get you through the police encounter safely and with the least amount of damage as possible. Have you all been following the news with different types of police encounters and some of the tragic results with different police killings?
Absolutely.
Have a good day.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're happening more and more often. And with video and body camera and cell phone camera, we're actually seeing them for once instead of hearing about it in a police report that the police officer's right. So when we see some of those things, I mean, people do things that are right and they do things that they could have done better. So another takeaway from today will be to how to stay safe and be legal throughout these encounters, because the number one thing will be to survive, and then would be to make sure that your rights aren't violated and that you give yourself the best chance if you're charged, or to file a complaint if you're not charged. So, without further ado, I see there's many volunteers
We
here.
got a bunch of volunteers about to walk in here.
So, should we put them right on the spot?
Yeah, perfect time.
All right. So, we're going to have a skit today. We got, it looks like some more young people walking in amongst those that are here. So, we'll give them a second to sit down. How you guys doing today?
Hi.
Good evening. You came in just at the right time. We're doing a presentation where we need some actors and actresses. How about, can I pick them out maybe?
Sure.
Sir, can you help us? And Brian, can you help us? All right. So what we're gonna do, okay, you might just hold that. So what we're gonna do is Marissa and myself, we're gonna be police officers. You see this official police hat?
We're donning the badge.
That means, like, you know, pretend like we're real officers and you're your real self. And I want you to take about 45 seconds over there to, like, this is a skit. So, like, talk about where you're coming from. Like, oh, we're gonna pretend we're coming from the football game. Okay, and then when you walk out, I want you to, like, act like that. Like, hey, that was a great game. Did you see that touchdown? Whatever you pick. All right, V? All right, so while they're getting that ready, I want everybody in attendance to not take notes, but take mental notes about what you think they did properly, or what you think they could have done better, or if they broke the law, if we broke the law. Just keep track, because we're gonna break it down afterward.
Perfect.
All right, when we say go is when we go. So last minute. Action.
Tell me, man, shoot, I was like, yo, your brother got some jets. It's like,
Excuse me, gentlemen, sir. Where you guys coming from? And can you back up a little bit? I just want to make sure you guys aren't too close. Anything that I should be worried about? No, sir. I'm going to pat you down for my safety. Nothing to worry about.
What's your name? Did you hear me?
Yeah, I heard you.
What's your name? What's your
Do I have a
name?
reason to give it?
Excuse me. Hey, we don't need an attitude. We don't need an attitude right now. We're just trying to find a few things out, all right? You said you're coming from the game. This is my partner here. She's not messing around. I'm not messing around. We got things to do. and we're just seeing what's going on with you. So, what's your name? What's your name, sir? Charles who? Sykes. How you spell that? All of it. Charles Sykes, S-I-K-E-S? Do you know how to spell your name?
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me.
S-Y-K-E.
Hey, Brian, all these movements, you're making me really nervous. Okay.
You need backup?
Who are you with? Who are you hanging out with at the football game? Brian?
I'm sorry, Mr. Sykes, can you speak up? You have a mask over your head and I can't even hear you.
Same with him.
That's it? Just one other person at the football game? Did you
Right
know
now,
anyone
we
else
got
at the football
somebody
game?
custody coming in. We got
Where are you going right now?
I'm in next month.
Home? Where's home? In the area? About how many minutes?
Hey, let's get to the straight. What's your address, sir?
Can't do that.
You can't do what? You're homeless? This guy. Smart guy here. Okay. You know, just have a seat over here on the curb, please. Have a seat. Sir. Who's this young man to you? Who's this young?
Do you have a problem? Do you see him talking to you? You can't make eye contact? A little respect these days?
You know, I've dealt with these kind before. Just think they know everything. But you know what? I know more. I know more. Okay?
He thinks he's funny.
All right, cut. Let's clap it up. All right, thank you.
I'm glad you didn't say the address, but
I like that homeless part.
All right, so that was a great job. Let's start with observations. Can anybody tell me what you think people did right?
I think Brian not giving the information was good because there was no reason to. That was probably good. But at the same time, it started like it kind of aggressed the situation more. So I mean, how do we?
Yeah.
But they
Yep.
went left.
Yeah, real quick.
Yeah.
Sir?
I think they both did good, kept their composure, said what they had to say. I think y'all was about to mess up though.
Okay. Hey, you know,
Wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah.
So those are all great observations. One thing that we can say for certain is that you must follow orders and commands. When I said, take your hands out of your pockets, I didn't ask you. I said, take it out. And you did it because that's an order. But the main takeaway from skit number 1.
So they can just like give us any kind of order, like walk backwards.
Yeah, I mean, it's at some point, if it's deemed unreasonable, they can give you reasonable orders. But you
Question,
do.
though. Like how y'all was just standing there. He ain't got no gun. He can't threaten you. Y'all got a safe distance. So if you just tell him, put your hands in your pockets and he 10 feet away from you, or take them out your pocket, you got to do that.
Yeah, I would say for take your hands out of your pockets, it's
Anything.
a reasonable
Anything.
officer safety request. But let me, and we'll take questions in a second. The main point for this skit is, am I free to leave? That is the first thing a person should say to an officer if you don't necessarily feel like talking to him. Because an officer can have a consensual, voluntary conversation with anybody for any reason. Like anybody here, an officer can come in and start talking to you out there on the curb, on the sidewalk. But if you ask, am I free to leave? Then they have to basically show their hand on whether they have enough probable cause to arrest you when you're not free to leave and you can't go, or reasonable suspicion where they're investigating a crime that they think you may have committed, but then they can only hold you for only enough time for them to investigate whether they're right or wrong. So when you ask, am I free to leave? The officer, again, would have to say, no, you're staying right here until we get things sorted out, or why don't you want to talk to me, or go ahead, you're free to leave. So that's what you have to find out. As a person being investigated or approached by police, you need to find out if you're being detained or not. So you ask, am I free to leave?
And if they just say no,
Ask them that quick.
Yeah, and if they just say no, then say why. Because a lot of the times they'll take advantage of you not knowing your rights. So if they say no, they'll think they're good. I said no, you can't leave. So you want to ask why. Like Brian said, they need reasonable suspicion to keep investigating, and that has to be specific. It has to be a fact. So they need to let you know why you can't leave.
Perfect.
But we know it doesn't always play like that.
Sure. And the comment was, we know it doesn't always play like that, and that's true. But you still have to set yourself up to do the best thing.
Okay.
And yes, ma'am.
What about personal space? Because at first you was back here, but then you got all up in his personal space. Are you allowed to do that? Isn't that kind of like provoking or?
Ain't you making a problem when you do that?
I mean, yeah, but I'm an officer, right now playing, because I'm the officer, by the way, in case you didn't see that. So, they think that they have the authority, and a lot of times they do have the authority, but as far as how close someone gets, I mean, arguably they could be committing assault if they like touch you or like blow on you or spit on you, and they, again, didn't have the authority to do that, but that's probably realistically not going to ever be the case because it's not going to get that far. Because most people are going to be okay with just not getting their ticket, and they don't know how to file a complaint.
Right.
Yes,
Can I
ma'am.
take a question, Jeff?
Yes.
Do you have to tell them why you approached them to speak with them?
No.
You don't? Okay.
And
You
we'll
don't
hold
gotta
that
tell
a little bit for skit number
Okay.
2. But one thing, and Marissa can confirm, but officers are allowed to lie to you. However, you're not allowed to lie to them.
Wow.
That's a catch 22. Yeah.
Hey, these guys, don't
I'm glad we know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know as far as like the skit goes and stuff like that, the whole thing was, am I being detained and stuff like that. So what I was going to say is, as long as I answer these questions to the best of my ability, no matter how shortchanged I am or what, as long as I answer those questions, I'm not being detained. They have no right to hold me at all. Correct.
Exactly. But here's the thing. You don't have to answer those questions. You can just say, officer, am I free to leave?
Right.
Right.
Hey, Chris, call me. I'll
be at home, man. I'll be around walking home.
Yeah,
Right, but I'm
if you
saying,
lay
like,
that
realistically, if I do get stopped and they start asking me questions, it's just human capability. Either I'm gonna answer these, or I'm gonna do like what the other actor did, and I'm just sitting there and be quiet.
Sure. And I mean, when you're cooperative with police, they're probably more likely to be cooperative with you. But at the same time, if you are late to going home, you got somewhere you want to be, you don't feel like answering questions, you're not in a good mood, you don't like this officer, any reason, you don't have to. So that's where you can just find out if you're free to leave and then follow what we say in these next 2 skits to put it together. Yes, sir.
The asking if I'm free to leave, I feel like for what you're asking opens you up to knowing whether or not you need to talk about for anything. Once they say, would you ask if you're free to leave, and they say no, it's like, okay, now there's more coming. Then you ask the question of why not, like she said, and then they're gonna have to tell you why not. Then you'll know.
Oh no, yeah. I know that I'm not subjected to answering these
But yes, you
questions.
can answer them.
What I'm saying is, to build that, distinguishment between, are they going to answer this question truthfully if I do answer these startup questions that they ask? Because if I just come out and I don't answer them, now they're going to be like, okay, he's acting a little bit suspicious. Like, yeah, I'm just telling them that you can't leave because now I want to know why you're acting like this.
That's exactly.
Well,
In a realistic manner.
yeah, so, you can make that decision because it's your right to invoke or not invoke. But basically, I don't know what other things a person should answer. If you're not free to leave, that means they are suspecting you of committing a crime where they want to get more information from you to make their case against you. So anything you say, even if it's like, I was with my boy Brandon, but you were really with your boy Lamar, they'll say he lied in the investigation.
Well, you didn't even know you were under investigation yet.
Exactly. So you can choose to go down that, but if you aren't free to leave, that means you're basically under arrest.
And
Right.
something you said like caught my attention. You said I have nothing to hide, but police can make it into something. So you could be completely truthful and think your answers are so simple, but you don't know, like Brian said, what they're investigating, what little clues they're looking for, and they can turn it into something. So that's why this blanket right of am I free to leave is always important to at least know and know that you have that ability, because
right, yeah, that's why I say, you know, to answer the questions as short change as possible.
Right.
Because we all know that whatever you say is going to be used against you, either in your right or in your wrong.
But I think one of the points would be that even that short-changed answer could be a bad answer for you in the long run.
Right.
So, like,
So what would be the proper procedure here?
I'm free to leave.
Am I free to leave? They say no. Well, then I invoke my fifth. I'm not saying anything. I'm sorry. That would be like
Yeah.
the easiest clean cut,
Yeah.
right?
yeah, and then you pretty much just wait until they tell you to get in the back of the car or they tell you you can go home.
Right.
Because anything in between would be them questioning you about, you know, trying to get evidence. But let's not go a little bit too far because we have
Oh, the next skit, please. The next skit, please.
next hit.
I
All
think
right.
Mike wants to be
How
a
about
volunteer.
2 more volunteers?
We got enough people now. I gotta go up.
Can you come up?
Oh, I'll come up.
Come on.
Hey, we finna try to make y'all job hard. He finna be that guy.
All right. You know we got props. So you can. You guys can just go ahead and get your.
We doing football again.
You can do whatever you want.
We just walking down the street.
Whatever you want. But talk about it. Get on the same page and.
Which one is it? Walk down the street. Walk through the hood. On our way to Mama.
And action.
Yeah, man, that boy Tony was acting up the other day, man. He was on something.
Breaker.
So
Excuse me.
Yeah, what
You
is
guys
that
put your
now?
hands up. Hands up, please.
hands up.
Yep. Just coming down to find out what's going on. You mind stepping over here, sir? A little bit. I just want you out the way.
Separate from you two a little bit.
You mind coming over here, sir? All right. So you put your hands down. Is there anything that I need to be worried about? Any weapons on you?
It's up to you.
Can I give you a pat down? Just want to make sure you don't have any
Anything that we should know about that you shouldn't have on you right now?
I mean, I just got this game and stuff with that. My bag and stuff. He was going over to my
Why were
mama.
you looking in there?
I was going to show you.
Hey, put the bag down. Put it down. Just put it down. Okay? I don't know what's in there right now. I just want to find out a few things. So, where you guys coming from?
We just walking.
From where?
We need a location.
Did you come from the sky? Where did you come from?
That was in God's plan.
Hey,
Well, right now we're on Earth, and he asked, "Where'd you come from?" Very simple answer.
Down the street.
Did we do something?
yeah, actually, you did, and I'm going to let you know about it. But first, I'm going to be the one asking the questions here, and I got a couple
I know
questions.
what I did.
Yeah, I'll let you know that in just a second. Did you hear what I just said to the gentleman?
Are we being
I
detained?
was actually talking to this officer.
All right.
Excuse me.
Yes, you are. You guys are both being detained. Listen,
He's talking
listen,
right
listen,
now.
listen here. All right. You're not free to leave. Okay. I'll tell you why. We got some reports of some breaking and enterings nearby. 2 black males, 1 with a red shirt, and 1 with a black shirt. So
I have other colors on my shirt. That's not specific to me.
okay,
Is your
sir.
shirt black though?
If you have nothing to worry about,
It's purple.
Listen.
It got a little bit of neon on it.
what's your name?
Black and red, real
You
common.
got any
Stop
ID
a
on
lot
you?
of people
Do I
today.
have ID on?
Yes, I'm investigating you for a crime. Do you have ID on you?
Oh, man, let me see. Can I reach in my back pocket?
Yes, go ahead.
Just watch it.
Sir, you got ID?
No,
All right. So you know anything about these breaking and enterings?
no.
Can you run that for us? Yeah. You don't know anything about this?
Nah.
So here's the thing. We got some ladies calling, okay? Martin Luther King Street, right? Vincent Court, ain't that right down the street? Okay, so they said that somebody came in when she was upstairs and took their son's toys. You know anything about that?
Oh yeah, my name not somebody.
You know anything about that?
I'm not even from here. That's
Okay.
why I'm confused.
Can I take a look in your bag, please?
Go ahead.
What was the description of that? The
It was
missing
an
items?
Xbox game controller.
Oh. 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 Oh,
Oh.
how old are you?
How old am I?
Yeah.
I got you maybe.
Hey, what did it say?
2003, so he is not 21.
Okay, this your bag, right? You said this is your bag?
No, that's not even my bag.
It's not your bag? Okay. Were you just holding it?
I was until you stopped me.
Weren't
Hey,
you
body
looking
cam, you
into
see
it?
that? This fool.
Now you just
Ooh,
lied
I
to
don't
him.
feel no-
Yeah. You're the one that's carrying stolen property. All right.
It's stolen property.
What is this? Tell me. What is it? Where'd you get it from?
Where'd you get what?
No, the Xbox they sell.
That's what
I'm saying.
Why do you just have one? Where is the rest of the console?
What if somebody that stole them have everything?
I'm on my way to my mom's.
I don't know. Maybe they just needed a controller.
Maybe there's broke. We don't know. We're
Broke in
trying
the
to
house to
find
get a
out.
controller.
Cut. Clap them up. Oh man, we gotta talk about this.
You look at you just like the police. I'm all that.
Please. Someone tell me what was first done. I mean, tell me what was right and what was wrong.
He gave you consent to search the bag. That's the first thing I would not have done. Regardless if it was my search.
Right or wrong?
wrong.
Yes, sir.
He also asked if they would be insane.
He did ask that. Did they ask first?
No.
No, it was like after a while.
It was
and-
honestly after you already said you can look in my
Y'all
bag.
let him talk
Right.
way longer than I would have.
So remember,
Immediately.
the first thing, we're going back to first grade. Am I free to leave? Okay? But the point of skit number 2 is supposed to be, I do not consent to searches.
Right.
Okay? Because if they're asking you, may I search your bag?
So even the pat down?
The pat down they can do for officer safety and hold that thought, but they can search for weapons unless they can
Outside.
feel something that's illegal, that they know is illegal, that's not a weapon, and then they can pull it out. But I do not consent to searches. If they're asking you if they can search, that means you can say yes, and then they can search. Or you can say no, and then they're either gonna have to violate your constitutional rights or not search your bag.
Or get a warrant. So if that again shows their cards. If they actually had probable cause and they wanted to search you, they'd have to go to court in front of a judge and get a warrant for it.
Unless there's a warrant exception, which is agreeing or consenting to search, or like some type of immediate like fire emergency where they don't have to go to a court to go in your house to save you from a fire. If they can see it in plain sight, like they look in your window and they see a gun and they ask you, do you have a CPL? And you say no, then they can arrest you and search your car because they could see the illegal item in the car in plain sight. So that's why you don't consent to searches. You also don't consent to searches because you don't want them to damage your property. You don't have time for them to go look through all your bag and dump out your luggage that you just folded up, or you have something private that you don't want them to see. Or, gosh forbid, you have something illegal, but we don't promote that, but there's so many people that know they have something illegal and still say you can search. So think about those people. Now, you guys are all just people who don't want your stuff searched. And you don't have to have it searched because you have your Fourth Amendment right to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures.
Can they still use that smell marijuana stuff? Because people work in their gardens and all that
You
stuff
know,
now.
let's just
Might
hold
just
that.
smell
Let's
it.
hold that for the third skit.
Alright.
All right.
He's ahead of us.
Can I do Thursday too?
I'm in the third one with you.
Oh my goodness.
So we have all the skits. I have a question online. Someone asked, can you tell police officers I don't answer questions?
You can, but I would say it like, "Am I free to leave?"
Right. it might change.
And then let's wait for skit number 3.
Okay.
But yes,
Fair minor.
you can say that. I would use the most polite terms that assert your rights. Not even polite, just you can say that. yes.
Straightforward.
Absolutely, you can say that. But skit number 3 is how I would handle it. So just wait and see.
Gotcha.
So any questions about, am I free to leave? I do not consent to searches. All right, great.
Don't.
So, this third and final finale skit is the big one. We're going to touch a lot of things here. So, we need 4 people. 4 people in the car.
Oh, there you go. Wow, we got all of them. This that car ain't waiting to see
The
here.
grand finale.
Who drives?
Nobody told what to drive.
I don't want to drive. I'm gonna sit here sitting in the passenger seat. Eric, can you make sure it's on camera? Can we
He's so sweet.
Good.
Perfect. Driving in your car.
All right.
What kind of car you got?
This is going to be hard for you guys. This is going to be really hard for you guys.
It ain't mine.
All right, you guys know where you're coming and going? Okay.
I'm just rolling.
Just ride. Just along for the ride.
You gotta drive.
Right.
Black SUV, tinted windows.
And action.
Hey, so what took you tomorrow, bro?
Shoot, they just at the crib chilling.
Chilling. What? Them boys ain't never.
They're gonna pull me sit up. Hey.
Put your seat up on, bro. Man, what do these? Bro.
Yeah, my window.
Yes,
Sir.
officer.
License, registration, proof of insurance.
Hey, can you roll down this window?
Do you have a reason for this?
License, registration, and proof of insurance.
I know that, sir, but do you have a reason for this?
Yes, sir, we're going to
Hey,
do all that.
Sergeant, will you tell him to roll down his window?
Okay, I'll let this
It's
guy
on
know.
child safety lot. Can you
Sir,
tell us
sir.
on child safety lot?
I'll let you know. I'll give you a hint. You need to provide your license, registration, proof of insurance, or go to jail.
But am I being detained? Or is someone in my car being detained?
Sir, I'm going to ask you one last time.
But are you going to answer my question? Though?
Yes,
That's a valid
yes.
question.
I'm here to investigate.
But is it a yes or a no?
It's a yes. It's a yes. It's a definitely
Can I
yes.
reach into the glove box to get the insurance?
Yes, sir. Gentlemen, you got any ID back here?
Hey man, you ain't gotta say nothing, little folk. Don't say nothing. Don't even move.
Yeah, ID, sir? All right, hang tight. We'll be right back.
This is some bullshit.
That's what
If that other car comes, turn it on.
bro, listen, bro. Use my phone. Call bro. Come get you, bro.
And then keep your hands up. Keep your hands
That's what I'm saying. Hey, put your hands on the dashboard. That's what you're Hey, just put your hands on the back seat, bro. We ain't
I was asleep when they left. I was asleep when they came.
I was sleeping when they left and sleeping when they came.
Bullshit. I know I should
All right, gentlemen. Everybody out?
We're gonna need you all to get out.
Let's
You
go.
can come sit along the curbs.
You got your
That's an order.
This is
That
an
is
order.
an
You have
order.
to
Let's
get
go.
out.
That's an order.
All 4 of you.
Are we done, man? Hey, let's get out the car, bro.
Please keep your hand out of your pocket
That's you two, buddy.
and come sit by the curbs.
Over there. All right. So here's the deal. All right. We see you speeding. It was obvious. And we come up here and we smell marijuana. Okay?
Two
And-
over the limit. Are you serious?
And here's the thing. I just want to make sure that the driver, you, are okay to drive because you know you can't smoke marijuana and drive, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did I have blood in my
here's
hand
the
when
thing.
you pulled
Here's
me
the
over?
thing. Also, you can't smoke in the car. So I'm just sorry, guys, but I'm just gonna. You mind if I take a look in here and see what's going on?
No.
Okay. Hang tight.
No. Hey. Whoa.
Hang tight, buddy. Hang tight.
I'm gonna need you to sit down. Come over here.
Do you have a warrant to
Hang tight,
search my
buddy.
vehicle?
Hang tight, buddy.
Do you have a warrant to search my vehicle?
Hang tight, buddy.
Let him do his job.
Weed is legal. You know that, right? Man, this is crazy, bro. Hey, call mom to come get you, bro.
Wow.
Oh, bro, listen, bro. Don't even.
All right, guys, let's take them downtown. Everybody,
Take him down.
let's go.
Everybody.
Everybody. Until we find out who it is, we're all going. Let's go. Up, let's go. Back room. Back room. Let's go.
So we don't have to open
Open? That wasn't open. Hey, bro, y'all saw that. Hey,
Don't worry, you have your chance. You have your chance to talk. You have your chance to talk.
Oh, no.
Back room.
And they
Hey, we're not done, Mike. Back room, man. Hey, young man, come on.
Now we're in the question.
Hey, someone lock them up. Make sure that door's shut. Have a seat. Hey, you know why you're here, right?
Look, I mean, we've all been here before. I think if you just work with us, it will be way easier for you. We can get it figured out. It probably wasn't even your fault. You know, there was 3 other people in the car, so it will really work out best for you if you just let us know what happened.
All right, so I understand, you know, you're a little nervous. Those are your friends. Those are your homies. But who's going to get in trouble for this? Was this yours?
No.
Okay, whose was it?
I don't know.
Let's start with the easier question. Whose bag is this? So when I ask them and they say it's yours and you miss your chance to tell me whose it is, what are you going to do then? Come begging back when you're in jail?
I promise you it will work out so much better for you if you're just honest with us.
100% honest. It's not mine.
Okay, so if it's not yours, whose is it? Let's go back even more basic. Where are you all coming from?
He just picked me and my friend in the back seat up from the store.
Okay, now we're talking. All right. So, what store did you go to?
Just a corner store up the street.
Like Quality Dairy? The one that sells liquor? Okay. I understand. You know what? Go have a seat. You know, we'll come back to you. I'll let you know if it goes okay for you. Can you get another one of them, deputy? Can somebody grab one of the guys? See if they want to talk. Let me, this will be my pleasure right here.
Oh, man. Damn. Man.
Have a seat, sir.
Yes.
You know why you're here, right?
I don't.
Okay, well, my partner will break it down to you in simple English. You know how to speak English?
Absolutely.
So listen, it will just be way better for you if you're honest with us from the beginning. We know people in the prosecutor's office and we can work things out, but if you make this a way bigger deal than it has to be, then it's not going to be good for you. So really just let us know whose bag was that in the center of the car.
I don't really have nothing to say.
Okay. Hey, before you have nothing to say, let me just outline this for you, okay? So, somebody is smoking marijuana in a car. You know, no big deal, right? Somebody has an open container and is drinking in the car. No big deal. Just tell me who is doing it. If it wasn't you, now's your chance. I'll write it in the report. I'll say Michael Lynn said that it wasn't his, it was somebody else's, and that's all it's going to be.
This is your way out.
Be a witness, or do you want to be a defendant?
Take me back to my cell.
Oh, wait, but before you go back, because you know Big Mike's waiting for you back there, okay? But before you go back, let me tell you what your little homie said. He said it's not his either. And if it's not yours and it's not anybody's, it's going to be all of yours. The bag was right in the middle, and you could touch it too. So unless you tell me you didn't know anything about it and it's somebody else's, it's going to be yours.
I don't have nothing to say.
This really could be so easy for you.
Make sure he doesn't get his peanut butter and jelly tonight.
Damn.
Come on, big fella. Have a seat. Have a seat. How you doing today?
All right, how you doing?
Good, man. Glad that we could connect today.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, because you know why? I don't think that you had anything to do with this little liquor bottle.
You big fella. I believe the little bottle.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay. So, who's it? That's all. Just trying to write my report. I'm just trying to find out which one of you or all of you is going to take responsibility for this. Is it
Looks
you?
like it's Jack Daniels.
Mike mentioned that was his favorite drink. Was it his?
No, it looked like it say it's Jack Daniels.
Listen here, smart guy. Okay? It says Jack Daniels, but it smells like vodka. Okay? So, clearly, you don't have to worry about the label. My question to you is it yours?
Nah,
Whose bag is this?
never seen
It was right in the car next to you.
it. Wasn't paying attention.
Oh. Where you guys coming from?
Home?
Home.
Listen, if you're just honest with us right now, we can make this go away. But we
You
can't
assuming
help
I'm not
you.
honest?
We can't help you if you don't tell us the truth.
Here's
We
the
just
thi-
need a name.
Here's the thing, big boy. Your partners said you're coming from the store. You said you're coming from home. Which one is it?
I live by the store.
Ah, you got an answer for everything. Okay. Let's just make sure we include him as a defendant. Back to the cell, man.
We in the same.
Get the last person, man. Sheriff, bring in the last scum. Just who we want to see, sir. Right over here.
I need the cuffs off, you know?
Yeah, let me get these off there. Is that better? There you go. Have a seat.
So look, I just want to be honest with you from the beginning because we really want what's best for you. We ran a quick DNA swab on that while you were back in the cell and it came up with your saliva. So if you're honest with us right now, then we can make things better for you.
It came over with my saliva.
Here, you know, partner, before we get started, let me just go over something really quick, okay? You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can will be used against you in court of law. Your right to attorney if you have one. The right public expense you cannot afford when you get one. You have the right. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right. You want to talk to us?
I plead the fifth.
No,
Think
that's
it's
not.
a movie.
I know, like plead the fifth. Okay. How about this? Do you want to talk to us? No. What's wrong? You have something to hide?
No, I don't have to answer your questions.
Okay. So you think you know something that we don't know?
No, I know that I don't have to answer your questions.
So you're right, you don't. But let me set a couple things out for you. I'm gonna give you the chance to tell us what happened because guess what? Mike, little homie, big fella.
I don't know none of those names that you just
Okay, let's put it like this. Your partners, they said it was your bag. You're the one that was smoking. You're the one that had the bottle.
You want me to walk in a straight line for you?
No, I just want you to just say what the truth is.
The truth is, I was driving. I had my eyes on the road the whole time.
Okay, so did you hit the blunt?
What blunt?
The one that you were all smoking?
Who was smoking?
That's what I'm trying to find out.
I'm trying to find out what you're trying to find out.
Okay, well,
That's why if we work together,
I am
it'll be
working
easier.
together. I said that I wasn't going to answer your questions, but I'm being nice right now.
Thank
I
you.
am answering.
thank you, and we appreciate that. Let me set it out for
I
you,
like it.
my man. All right, so here's what we did. We were on Cedar Street,
Cedar?
and we saw you driving, and we saw smoke coming out,
Was that before or after I came off of Pennsylvania?
and then we saw people going like this, passing around and smoking, and then when we came up, we smelled marijuana. Okay.
I know what y'all saw, bro. See, that's actually y'all thought that was a blunt. That wasn't a blunt.
What was it?
Man, it was a pencil, bro. We was writing notes in the back. I'm a rapper.
Oh,
We was literally coming from the store,
okay.
right? We had bought some snacks, some fruit snacks and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
We was on our way to the studio.
Can you explain the smell? Where'd that come from?
Man, listen, you already know how them people be at the corner store, bro. They be out there smoking everything.
Can you explain this?
They probably dropped that in the bag.
Who?
Jose.
the junkies that be up at the corner store. Listen, if you said that you follow me all the way from Cedar, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The dude, he had like the baggy shirt, like blue jeans and everything.
And cut. All right. Wrap it up. Have a seat, sir. All right, get that scoundrel.
And we
out.
freak, bro.
All right, so for everybody that was paying attention, what are some things that you think they did well, or what are some things you think they did poorly?
Well,
Yes, sir.
with the chance to give information when you ask for it, that's where they first went wrong. My opinion.
When I asked,
Yes, sir. License registration.
okay, so
I think the driver was the worst one. I'm gonna be honest.
I think so too, because the driver had the most to lose, given that it was this person was driving, therefore you can't be high at all unless you have your medical card, which is like, the test is this, I'll tell you guys. So if you smoke at like 12 at noon, you're gonna have so many levels of active THC, and you're gonna have some metabolized like THC that's already gone from like 2 days ago. So as long as you have any active amount, like if you smoke a half a blunt, you'll probably have like 15 or 20 nanograms. And it'll take like 5 hours for that to get down to 0. So 5 hours later, if you're like completely feeling sober and then something happens, like a car accident, and then they have to take your blood and you have 1 active nanogram, even though you felt perfectly fine, you would be driving under the influence, the same as an OWI, unless you have your medical card. So the point is that you were the driver. If you were high at all without your card, then you're committing a crime. We stopped you for speeding, but then we investigated you for having either driving while high or having an open container of alcohol, or having like a blunt in the car, because I'm pretty sure that people can't smoke in the car, just like you can't drink in the car. You have to put it somewhere else.
For the record, the bottle was closed.
But was the seal cracked?
It was open. Yeah, it was open inside.
Yeah, so even if like you drank on New Year's and then on New Year's Day, you're driving home with whatever was left over that you had for the party, if it's open and it's in your passenger and not in the trunk, then it's an open container crime. So that's why having that bag with that little bit in there in the apartment was like a big thing for whether you're free to leave or not. Well, not that part, but whether you're under arrest or whether we can charge you. So before we get too far, the point of skit number 3 is I want my attorney.
I missed it. My young dog said it.
Yes.
Young boy was like, I should have asked for an attorney. I was like, dang, I didn't ask for one either.
So
he said,
think about where you are. At this point, you're not free to leave. You are in cuffs. That's one reason you know you're not free to leave. And then you're downtown in cuffs. You know you're not free to leave. And now they want to question you so that they can get evidence against you.
That's all right.
Or evidence against your other friends. And you're right. I didn't read anybody their rights except for the 4th person. Or when I said you have the right to remain silent, you guys didn't miss it. Anything you say can be used against you. Because if they ask you questions without doing that, and you're not free to leave, then they're violating your Miranda rights, where they have to tell you that you have the right to an attorney, and that one can be provided at public expense.
And it's important to say, I want an attorney, because there's this, you have to invoke your right. So if you just sit there quiet, they can still pepper you with questions and still try to break you, and that's where a lot of people slip up, is like they think, oh, I'll just be quiet, they have to stop. But no, the officers can keep asking you and asking you. But if you invoke and say, no, I want an attorney, I'm not going to answer any more questions until I have my attorney present, then legally they have to stop asking you questions and leave you alone.
Yes, ma'am.
So for the youngest, who we'll say is a minor, can he say, I want to call my parents?
That was my question. Can you talk to a minor?
Yes, can you question a minor?
I'm pretty sure you can. The officers can. It's probably just best practice to do a forensic interview where you bring in a special person who's trained in saying, do you know the difference between the truth and a lie? Tell me, where is it true? Tell me, in your own words, what happened? So like they're trained. And that phone call thing, I don't want to give an exact answer because I'm not exactly sure, but my instinct is saying that they can talk to a minor without.
So even train your minor children to ask for an attorney.
Yes, I do not give your trust to the police because say one of the friends was released and then they were able to get a hold of the parent, like blah, blah, blah's in jail, you need to come get them. If the parents are outside, even if an attorney's outside and the person in custody does not ask for an attorney, they don't have to let them know that their parents are here. They have every right to not tell them. So that's why it's very important to say, I want an attorney.
I ask that because a lot of people think that police can't talk to your kids without you present, so you need to teach your kids to say, I want an attorney.
Right.
Absolutely. And one thing, just to go back to the comment before, so when you have to say, I want an attorney, true story, Louisiana, a few years ago, somebody said, I want my lawyer, dog, and then ended up talking kind of like the fourth person did. He said he wanted his attorney, great job, but then he kept talking to us and saying some things that were incriminating. But besides that, he said he was just playing his role, but no, I appreciate that.
That's how things would go, though.
Sure, and we know it's a skit, and I appreciate that because you let us get to all the points we needed. But the point here is when the person in Louisiana said, I want my lawyer dog, the Supreme Court there said that there are no lawyer dogs.
Wow.
And therefore, he didn't unequivocally invoke his right to an attorney. So they will, you gotta say the magic words.
Now, how can you be in control of something and then your morals is that thrown off where you'll manipulate the system like that to win? But you in charge.
Yeah.
Well, and again, I mean, like I said, police are allowed to lie. Just like, we said your boy Mike and little homie and big fella said that it was yours.
Or we ran DNA. That's a common thing they say.
We not even talking about an officer in the field. You said a judge decided that.
That's how
in court
in Louisiana.
Yeah, I understand that.
So yeah, the Supreme Court in Louisiana.
I'll just show you how messed up the system
Which
is.
is why we have to have things like this. So
Absolutely.
There's no way you sitting on a bench and you make a decision like that if you're not considering y'all in this gang and the people in this gang. I'm gonna stick with this gang and we gonna make this right when they wrong and they even if that's just all bullshit.
I got a question. One that came across was you have the right to record the police in a situation. At what point in time do you not have the right anymore?
Yeah, so I can take this. You do have that right, and the thing is though, you have to be careful. You don't want to be like, oh man, I'm getting stopped. I'm getting stopped. I'm getting stopped. I'm getting stopped. Because then the police is like, what is all those movements back there?
Right.
Yeah.
What is that? What's that black thing? And then they're shooting at you. So I don't know the best way to do it. I always think next time I get stopped, I'm gonna have my wife record. But if I'm alone, I'm feeling like I want to try to set it up or say, officer, for your safety and mine, I'm going to record from my phone.
If you're a bystander, you can also record. They can't. I know there's a lot of cases where it's you turn your camera off, you can't record, but as a bystander, you can record what they're doing.
Because a command they can make is to turn it off, which you have to comply with.
Well,
but that's violating the right as well to tell us that we can't record.
Right. It would be an unlawful command probably, so.
Because that was the
It's not
question.
reasonable.
Can the police stop you from filming with your
No,
phone?
but they can tell you to back up so that you don't obstruct with the investigation and that they don't have to worry about people getting too close.
Gotcha.
So they might tell you, go across the street, jump over that fence, go on the other side of that house. You're good over there. It's about how much you want to challenge that would be. I mean, they probably won't say go behind the house, but you get the point.
They tell you back up.
Yeah, it has to be
back up,
reasonable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was gonna say real quick, just because I know this is being recorded, and it's only for iPhone, but it's really helpful. If you have an iPhone, there is a shortcut you can install called Hey Siri, I'm getting pulled over. Oh, she's listening.
She might talk.
So if you do that shortcut, you can look it up step by step on how to do it. I would say to get a mount that you can put in your little visor, and you can put your phone so it faces you. And what it does is it turns your front-facing camera on, dims your light, and it sends your location to people that you pre-sent it to, telling them that you're getting pulled over and it starts recording.
That's good. So another important thing to know is that officers have the right to legally tell everybody in the car to get out. So even if you didn't do anything, if you're the driver for any reason for officer safety, the courts have already decided that it's an official thing. For officer safety, everybody has to get out. So know that.
That's so stupid.
It is.
How is it safer
But
for you
because-
out the car and it's safer for you in the car?
Because-
That's so dumb.
I mean, I don't want to explain the court's rationale, but in the car, they can't see everything. It's a mobile thing.
They don't know what you can grab. That's
You know,
their reason.
they have to like watch a few people. But just know that if any officer tells you to get out the car, that is not something to challenge.
Even if you're a passenger.
So even if you got license, registration, everything, they can make
Yep.
you get out the car.
Unfortunately. And if you don't have license, registration, insurance, then you have, unfortunately, committed a misdemeanor and therefore are subject to being arrested if they wanted to, and then therefore your car could be searched. But now, especially in Lansing area, most of the time, if you don't have a license or a bad license, they're going to write a ticket and give it to you. And as long as your car is either parked in the right spot or whatever, then you're going to be good. But the point is that if you commit a misdemeanor and they can arrest you, then they can do it. It's their discretion, unfortunately. Some officers, not so much anymore, will arrest you and take you to jail for that. And some will just say, don't do it again. And some will write a ticket and say, you have to call the court in 10 days. Yes, sir.
So I was, is the license good like on your phone and registration like Michigan, one of those states where you
No.
have like the wallet in your phone?
Insurance might be, but your license, you would have a valid license, but you wouldn't be carrying it, so you wouldn't have proof of your license on you. And that's its own.
Yeah, failure to show ops, even if they can see that it's valid, that's a traffic misdemeanor. So that's a misdemeanor.
So yeah, you have to have it.
One thing, and it depends on the officer. So I've seen officers who someone doesn't have their registration or insurance and they'll give the guy a break or let him show it on the phone, but legally you have
that
to.
you can carry that stuff on
Insurance,
the
you
phone.
can in Michigan.
Insurance.
Yeah.
Insurance.
License.
They say we are virtual or some shit state.
Yeah.
And we're one of the states that do it. I just don't know exactly if it's the license, insurance, and
It's
registration.
just insurance.
Yeah,
It's just
for
insurance.
license you have to have it on you or it's a whole separate traffic misdemeanor.
So another point I think is important is the passenger rule.
Yeah.
For the most part. So the driver must give his ID and proof of insurance and all that, but especially ID, and tell them their name. If you don't have it, you tell them your name. But the passengers don't have to give their name and
Well, we
ID.
gotta get out.
If they say get out, you do. But here's what you do. You get out and then say, officer, am I free to leave?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Man. That's it right there.
You don't have to give your name or ID if you're not under investigation.
Somebody commented that, they said, don't have to provide your name unless suspicion of breaking
Yeah.
the law.
The driver, you're driving, so under Michigan road rules, you have to give all that information. You're a passenger, you don't, because you're not the one driving in that scenario, so you're not being investigated.
But we do have to listen when they say get out the car.
Yes. But
But
that
what
should
Brian
trigger
said,
you
yeah.
to like get out, find out if you're free to leave. Because in our case, we could have argued that you're not free to leave only because we're trying to figure out if you were
We're
committing
investigating.
if you were smoking in the car or had the open container. We're trying to figure that out.
But if they say you are not free to leave, that should trigger something else in your mind. Why? And then when they tell you why, then you realize that I'm zipping my mouth and I'm done.
Because I need
That's-
insurance.
That's the fact.
Because I
That's
need
the
to call my
fact.
mom.
Like
Right.
when we was younger, the state troopers pulled us over. Everybody but the driver just go to sleep like they were asleep, and they wouldn't ask us nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one tactic. I mean, I just, you know.
If you're walking
Drunk a little bit
and you're
there?
approached by an officer, like the guys coming from the football game, how old do you have to be to provide ID? Say it was myself and her. How old into teenage years do you have to have an ID?
I don't.
Do you understand what I'm
Yeah, I
saying?
was gonna say.
Well, in
Yeah,
Michigan,
you
in Michigan,
provide your
can start
name.
getting like state IDs at the age of 13.
You can, but
do
I don't think you have
have
to.
one?
You can say your name. And then they
Okay.
can go back to their, if they really want to, and search names. So you don't need an actual ID.
Okay, I was just.
Or you can say, am I free to go?
Yeah.
And then they're like, no, and you're like, all right, I have nothing more to say.
Another, back to asking for an attorney, we see a lot of scenarios where people will say, do I have the right to an attorney? Hey, should I be given an attorney? Like phrase it in a question sense, and the officer is not going to be like, yes, please call an attorney so that I can stop
always had
asking
the
you
right to an
questions.
attorney.
So that's why you want to put it as a statement. Yeah.
Don't the license plates tell them whether you got insurance and all that stuff now?
You could be driving someone else's car. It could
Yes.
not be registered. It could be a lapse in registration. All those
But
things.
when they walk up, when they
No, it
pull
does.
that car over and they look at that plate,
Yeah.
they know if you got insurance and all that stuff before they talk to you.
They know if the car has insurance,
Right.
and they know who the car is registered to, and if it's valid. And then if they see it's registered to a name like you're driving and it's a lady's name, they'll know it's not your car, but they'll still ask you about your license.
Yeah.
So yeah, a license plate would be able to tell all that. That's why they're always running everybody's license plate. They'll be like, "Is that Mike Lynn?"
Also, the license plate
Leave,
cannot
get away
match up
from
to
him.
the VIN on the car. So those are all
Mike
things
ain't
that
playing.
they're claiming they're looking for is, oh, I need to see the VIN to make sure it matches up with the VIN for this license plate.
Oh, that's a lot.
So can you break down, just for the people watching, and I mean, obviously the people in here, I know the skits are what it is, but what would be in a traffic stop, like if I was to pull you over, or you to go through that process and they did you like that, just those 3 quick hitters, like, because that's what keeps coming to my mind, is trying to work out in my mind. Am I detained? Am I available? Can I leave? They say no. Then I'm like, why? And then they say you're under investigation. Then I should know once I hear investigation, any of that, which is what they have to tell us, right? They don't. But they can say that I still don't have the right to leave. That's when I know it's time to
Ask a lawyer.
Right. So if they have their reasonable, articulable reasons for holding you, they don't necessarily have to tell it to you. They just have to know it and be ready to tell a judge that if it came down to it. Because, you don't have to say everything. It's just pretty much hang tight, buddy. I'll be right back. Talk to other witnesses, talk to your other officers that's investigating, and then come back and maybe talk to you and tell you
But
what's up.
all
But
they have to tell you is, no, you can't leave.
Yeah,
That's all they have to tell you. So once
Right.
they say that, what you should say is, okay, I'd like an attorney.
yes. If
I'm
they
not
say
gonna
anything,
answer
because
any more
they
questions.
might not even say anything else to you, because if you are in Quality Dairy stealing on tape and somebody says they saw you and then they catch you with it in your pocket, they don't have to ask you, did you do it? So they might not even talk to you about that.
Yeah.
They just arrest you after they do their investigation and take you downtown, write their report, and then the prosecutor will sign it and you got a charge.
So that's when you jump to step 3 and say, I want an attorney and don't talk.
Gotcha. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So something really specific someone asked is, can a police officer touch you? Specifically, can a police officer grab your arm in a public place and question you? Or can they put their hands on you?
I would say it all goes to reasonability. What's reasonable? I know we hear this term reasonable, unreasonable force, and that's unfortunate because that's a lot, the word the court likes to use is reasonable. So I think if that goes to where you ask, am I free to leave? And if they say yes, and they can't grab you and try to keep asking you questions. I personally, in your opinion, I don't think it's right if they're just simply asking questions and that's the scenario to ever have a need to grab your arm while they're asking questions. I don't know if that was the scenario.
I would say, well, I don't know, maybe it's just for me. Sometimes they start off by grabbing you. Like if you're walking by, is it anything we can do?
Am I
They
free to
really
leave?
Just,
So,
Nobody
the-
should be
Same
touching
progression.
no damn body.
So the last thing, because I have to step out in a second, but the complaint process is important. Unfortunately, it seems like kind of hard to do, like when you're complaining against the police. But the only way that any of this ever comes to light is if that happens. So if you feel like you got grabbed, because really, if you're obeying commands and orders and then you get grabbed, that would be an assault because they have no reason to
Touch.
assault you. But if they're putting handcuffs on you and you don't immediately put your hands behind your back, they can start doing stuff like that. But if you're following orders and commands and not looking shaky and doing things you're not supposed to, then you're not supposed to get grabbed. And if you do, then you got your rights violated. And unfortunately, you have to go to the police usually to complain about it. And then that goes into internal affairs. Usually, there is supposedly another avenue that's an independent investigator, but that avenue is not used enough. But the thing is, when you're stopped, you have to remember, if you might not know the officer's name, like you don't know it's Officer Marissa, you have to remember, okay, I was on MLK, it was 6 o'clock, it was a lady officer, she
Lansing
had
Police Department.
black hair.
I used to ask for badges.
Okay.
And then you could then say it was at this time, this place, because there's records. So you're going to see most officers don't even have any complaints because people don't complain. Some officers do, but the thing is that they actually keep track of those. So when you say we want to see, like your attorney would say, we want to see the officer's discipline file to see if there's a pattern or something. But if there's nobody in the past that said anything, then it's not going to be a discipline record to use. And it doesn't always help you right
So it's
away.
about writing that record.
Getting that information.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Building
you.
that.
Thank you.
All is well, so I appreciate
Thank
you,
you.
Brian T. Round of applause. I think that's it for the questions, so as far as anybody else in the room, we can shut the live down. I guess I'll just talk real quick.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you all for coming and watching this. This will be live forever, so share it, so people can get this
Yes, it'll be on
information.
our website also.
It'll be on our website as well, and this won't be the last one that we do. There's so many questions and everybody has about this stuff. There's a lot of incidents and scenarios that are going on out here in the city that people definitely want to know what their rights are about this. But thank you all for showing up for this. All the people out here that showed up, appreciate y'all. Peace out. Thank y'all.
Thank you, everybody.